What's up, guys? Jeff from Alpha Dynamics. Today I'm going to talk about a lot of shit, everything from going out, social momentum, why certain responses elicit emotional responses from us and can form our entire night, decide whether it's good or bad right away, and it shouldn't be that way. And the more advanced you get, why it becomes less about that external response. And then we're going to go into converting phone numbers to dates. And finally, Tinder and how to go about that, how it's different from when you meet somebody, right? So basically, when you start going out and socializing, you'll notice at the beginning, say if the first person that you go up to, if they give you a good response, then it tends to fuel your emotions up in that upward spiral, and you can end up having some of the best nights out that you've ever had, just from having a good response to the first one or two approaches that you make, right? And in contrast, when you have a bad interaction or you don't get the response that you want the first couple sets that you do, how that just completely can destroy your night, especially if you're just starting, because then you're from that point on, you're having this negative energy. You're going up to the next group and they're feeling that negative energy and they're like, ugh, just stay away. They don't want that, right? And so, you know, you can end up feeling dejected that way and your night can go really, really badly. All right, so why is that? I believe that it's from trauma from childhood linked to approval, right? Approval, and it's linked to survival for us as children, right? So say if you were a kid and you were in church with your family or something and you were being really loud, and they're just like, oh, be quiet, lower your voice, right? And you're kind of like, oh, fuck it, whatever, I'm a kid, I'm gonna have fun anyways, and you're enjoying yourself. And then they get really serious and they're like, you need to be quiet. Or if you ever had your parent like pretend that they were gonna, I remember my dad would we'd drop my mom off at the store or something, and then he would pretend to drive away, and I would like freak out and cry, and you know, I thought like, oh, we're leaving our mom forever. And or if they like set you outside and they're like, if you act like this, you're gonna be here, you're gonna be alone, they threaten to leave you, all that kind of stuff. Basically you're associating that approval with survival, because if your parents did decide to leave, right, you'd basically die if you were a kid. Like, you couldn't provide for yourself. So what happens is we get older is that we still subconsciously associate this approval from others with our survival. And that's how we get that deep emotional, like fucking cortisol, adrenaline response to like whether or not somebody is approving of us, okay? And then in the whole spiritual community, whatever, they have these three kind of levels, right? And the first one is having what you have, and you're basing your self-worth off this shit. So it's like, either, you know, I have a lot of cool stuff, I have these cool friends, I have this nice car, and that is like what my identity is. Like how good my stuff is how good I am, right? So that's the first level. The second level is doing, which is a little bit better, which is like, you know, the value is in the action I'm taking, it's in what I'm doing. Example, talking. So if you're in set talking to a girl, you think, oh, it's going well as long as I keep talking and talking. I see this with a lot of guys, is that they will talk too much. And you know, at the beginning you do want to lead and you do want to talk more than she is, right? But what happens is once they hook her, they don't stop, slow down, and let her start investing in the interaction. And basically you just become this clown, and she's like, oh, that was cool, but I didn't invest anything, so I don't care. You're just a good emotion, and you're just gone as fast as you came, right? So the next one is being, right? So that's the value is in me inherently, in being me. And once you get to that point, you will be immune from this thing I was talking about, where your emotions are depending on the responses from your approaches, right? So what happens a lot of times with me is if I don't get a reaction that I want, I will turn it into this joke. I'll burn it to the ground. I'll say the most ridiculous stuff. I'll be like, but I was sex trafficked, and you know, I'm traumatized, please love me. Like, what about true love, right? Or don't walk away, you love my chodiness, all this kind of stuff. Anything that will make me laugh, right? Then I'm gonna use that, and it will continue to fuel my emotions upward, so that the next set I do, I'm still bringing that fun, carefree, laughing type vibe to the interaction, and I'm still projecting good energy out regardless of what the last set did. And once you get to that point, it just explodes open for you. You just end up having really, really good results. So, you know, there's the scarcity, which is like always aiming for something better, implying that you're not happy where you're at, right? So if you're in the being, you're happy where you're at, but you can still have some motivation to get better, but it's not out of like this feeling that you're not good enough, right? So going from apathy, well, since we're talking about energy, you know, like there's this book called Levels of Energy, right? And basically what he says is that apathy is like one of the lower ones. There's like a scale that he has from like 0 to 700 or something like that. Now 30 is like apathy, a little higher than that is anger. So if you don't care about anything and you're depressed, it's actually good to get angry, to be outraged, to get mad, to do something, right? But how long do you want to live in that space really? So when I say like, oh, I need to make myself healthy, or, you know, that's basically make myself successful. That's assuming that if I didn't make myself, that I wouldn't do anything. That's assuming that I'm a piece of shit. When you truly have that self-love, you know, when you're 10 out of 10 happy, you'll naturally be inspired to take action, okay? And so basically, you know, that scale I was talking about with the energy, it's gonna be like, the negative energies is like from 1 to 200. So 100 is like competition, it's like ruthless businessman, it's like fucking people over to get what you want, right? And then 200, things start to get positive, it's like safety, cleanliness. So if you're depressed, you can clean your room and in your whole house, and that will kind of make your energy go up a little bit. And comfort, boredom, that's in the 200s. And the 300s is like productive, wealth, like yoga, executives, doing that kind of stuff. It's between, well, yoga is between like 300 and 400, I believe. So in that 500, you want to be in the 300 to 400 range from like day-to-day life, because we are tethered to this physical reality. So if you just lived in the 500, 600, which is like creativity, joy, bliss, you know, nearing enlightenment, it's like, yeah, you can be really happy, but you'll probably like push a shopping cart around and be homeless because you aren't focused at all. Like the 400 is really good too. That's like the scientists, philosophers, and leaders, all of that sort of stuff. That's the range you want to be in, is like 300 to 400, okay? But it is good to push yourself and have these moments of meditation, enlightenment, that kind of thing. That's important too for your emotional development, to let go of attachment to outcomes, things like that. So if you are trying to build a social circle, or you're trying to, you know, meet really high level women, and you might not be exactly where you want to be in your life, there's 3 things that you can offer anybody, whether you're trying to get a mentor, or you're trying to meet a really hot girl, or you just want to build a social circle with people that are a little higher above you. You can offer fun, carefree, and passion, okay? And that will allow you to compete with anyone, even if they have more resources than you. You want to show people that you're having more fun than them, and they'll want to join. It'll bring them in. So find out what they don't have or what they need, right? And offer that. Okay, whether it's health, relationships, wealth, that sort of thing. Bring them into your world and show them you're having more fun. If you wanted a mentor, then basically you would want to like not just directly go up to them and ask them, right? Because they have, if they're successful, they have a lot of people trying to take value from them all the time. So instead, offer that value first. So you want to get near them, maybe associate with their friends or assistants, and then you want to like let them see you having a lot of fun, invite their friends out, and then have them see that, and then eventually they'll want to come with you and just continuously have a blast. Don't ask them questions about whatever it is that you want from them, okay? Just watch them and learn that way. Eventually they'll offer up that information for free once you've given enough value. So that's meta level awareness. That's, most people can't even see beyond like what their own needs are, right? Because they're lacking and they're focused on their own needs. But once you handle yourself, relationships, direction for your life, emotions, you can be more aware of like what's outside of you, all right? And now you have like the mental bandwidth to offer that value to others, okay? And so a lot of times when I'm taking guys out, or my students are out, I'll see guys that are better looking, more successful, and they'll stand on the corner and they'll hate. And some guys will slut shame the women. They'll be like, oh, she was just drunk. And a lot of guys, you know, they'll resort to that slut shaming. What's interesting is that a lot of them are better looking than my students, or they're financially more successful, and so they're mad. They're thinking, I should be the one that's having all this fun. I should be the one that's having this success. Why aren't the girls on me? Right? But it's all, like I said, it's all about the fun, carefree, and passion, the energy that you're offering, being happy with where you're at, and pouring out that good energy, not having the filter in your mind. Losing the filter comes from assuming that you are enough, assuming that you are contributing. Like, if you don't walk up to that girl, then you're taking something from her. You're taking the opportunity for her to get to know a really cool guy, okay? You're not interrupting her day, all right? So that's a reframe that you want to have. Basically, the reason I'll say these girls are drunk or they're sluts is because it's basically easier for them, okay? It makes it easier for them to justify this mechanism they built to not taking action to, preserve their confidence, right? Because if you do go up and you are basing your identity off of the reactions people are giving you, well, it's pretty fucking scary if you don't have control over that, which you don't when you're gaming. You're always, no matter how good of game you have, no matter how charismatic, enthusiastic, fun, attractive your behaviors can be, you're still gonna have girls that aren't into you. And if you're basing your identity off of how they react and you want every single one of them to love you, you're fucking yourself over, because there's never gonna have 100% success rate. Toss that shit out the window. Don't think of it as far as numbers, okay? Those people are fucking up by not taking action, by protecting themselves. They think they're protecting themselves. Really, they're just stagnating in misery, all right? And it's easier for them to criticize me or the students or the girls rather than pointing a finger at themselves. Because pointing a finger at others, it doesn't help you at all. Okay, it's excuse making. It's justifying that stagnation. It's that confidence survival mechanism. And it's you feeling better about your life by finding a way to look down on somebody else, okay? So why not ask questions? Why not observe what these people are doing that are having more success than you, and not complaining about it, and not blaming others, and saying, what can I do? Even if somebody fucks up and it's their fault, and if I'm involved in any way, I'm gonna ask, what did I do? What could have I done differently? Because that's all I have control over, right? So finally, we're gonna get into the online, the dating tips, from converting phone numbers out at the clubs to meetups, okay, and hopefully to, sex or relationships, whatever you're looking for. Quick tip, if you're asking her to hang out and she says, oh, I gotta hang out with my friends today, you can say, well, are they good friends? And if she says no, then you can say, good, then fuck them, let's hang out then. Or if you say, are they good friends, and she says yes, you could say, great, then they'll understand. Let's meet up. How about 4 o'clock? Or just 4 o'clock at this place where something cute, right? Don't be like, oh, do you want to meet up? Like, all these outs, even when you're asking for the phone number, okay, this is key. Don't even ask, don't be like, can I have your phone number? After you've, especially that tonality, right? I've had girls comment when I say, I've like done 2 sets, 2 girls at the same time, and basically I've said things like, oh, I have her number, but I'm not gonna call her unless you give me your number too. Like, it has to be both of you, all right? I said, oh, I'll take your number then. I'll take your number. And they'd be like, oh, you'll take my number? But they like it. They'll be smiling too. Like, they're like so presumptuous, right? But yet they'll give me the number, right? So it's like way better than asking. It's just saying, I'll take your number, as if I'm doing them a favor, right? You would rather come from a place of arrogance than of self-loathing. And it's good to have a little bit of narcissism. Just, you still want to have empathy, of course, and be able to calibrate to how she's feeling all the time. But as far as yourself, you're giving yourself that self-love. And there's very few things more attractive than that, okay? So the reason women respond to this behavior where you're like, oh, there's no try, do or do not, like, we're doing this at this time, you're leading, you're being strong, you have masculine polarity, which is challenging, fun vibe, and leading, all right, is because there's so many guys that they're this chodiness, this weak frame, that they're relieved to talk to a guy that's not supplicating to them, kissing ass out of fear or out of like this goal to manipulate them into hanging out, okay? So the club, now we're out talking about the club and getting phone numbers from there and converting that to dates. It's a very disassociative environment. So it's almost like a dream. Like you'll get lots of numbers that will flake on you. This is an important thing. Like when you start getting phone numbers, it's a good step up, but you got to understand that like half of those at least are gonna flake on you, especially at the beginning, because they're gonna come from this frame where it's like, oh, he's so cute, look at him try, he's non-threatening, he doesn't have a dick. Like it's just like the angel, they think like there's nothing there, like you don't have a dick to them, right? So you're non-threatening and they'll be nice to you, but they won't want to fuck you or hang out with you or date you, right? So then after that, once you might notice yourself get a lot of numbers and then a lot of flakes, and then as you get better, you'll notice that you'll get a little less numbers, but less of them will flake, and that's a good thing. And then you'll get some harsh rejections because they realize that something could happen there, that you are a man, and that's good, that's okay, that's part of it. So you want to mitigate that disassociative environment the best you can, and basically, you know, you do that by sending a series of like solidifying texts, okay? So you would say, hi, this is whatever, Brad, and I'm the headband dude from this club that you met me at. So you want to say your name, where she met you, and something about you that was memorable, okay? And then you want to send a picture of you. Don't do the mirror selfie, and don't send a group picture with a bunch of people. She needs to know which person you are. So send one of you. Now this is different over Tinder, and I'll explain that in a minute, but basically don't do the mirror selfie. You send her the picture saying, this is my name, this is where you met me, and here's a picture of me. And be careful if you're out at the club and you're trying to pull that same night, okay, don't take her number unless it's a last resort and it's not gonna happen that night. Because if you take her number early in the set, basically she has less motivation to go home with you that night, right? Because if you're in a situation where it's like, do or die, like she can either go home with you right now or never see you again, and she found you really intriguing, well, then she's more likely to go home with you that night, right? To whereas if she has your number, then she can always just plan a day 2 date, and then, you know, why would she fuck you that night when she could avoid the slut shaming and all that shit? So after you sent that text with the pic, you just let it be, okay? You don't try to elicit a response, okay? You will completely blow yourself out. I see this happen all the time. It's really bad, okay? You just need to give it time. What's ways you can make it easier for you to do that? Because I know it can be fucking annoying, irritating, it can be really distracting. You're hoping for that response and it doesn't come. Basically, you have several numbers, okay? You want to be doing like 10 numbers at the same time. And that way you're not just looking at one, like hoping she responds, and then when she doesn't, you're crushed. If you have a bunch of numbers, then you can flow through that and you can be more non-needy, all right? So the day you do want to kick it, if she does respond to you, you send out a value-giving text. And what's value-giving? It's basically anything that doesn't, like I said, elicit a response from her. Something, if it ends in a question mark, avoid that. You want to just say something that doesn't require a lot of energy for her to respond to. Okay, so an example would be like, oh, I am out at the river right now shooting an awesome video, and I'm going to this place later. You should tag along. You know, it's going to be fun. Something like that. That way you're not saying like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing only if you come with me, and my whole day depends on you because you mean a lot to me even though I barely know you, right? You say, oh, I'm already doing this thing later, it's going to be fun, you can join or you can not join. Either way, I'm gonna have fun because that's my life, right? And that's a lot less pressure for her than if you just put it all on her immediately. All right, I see so many guys trying to like butter girls up over text, and it looks like two girls trying to make plans, and the whole time they're just yapping about shit that doesn't matter. This isn't that fucking movie with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan where you get her to fall in love with you over email or text, okay? The value is gonna be given in person. That's where the attraction is gonna happen, okay? So the faster you meet up with her, the better. So don't pussyfoot around trying to get a fucking response or trying to just continue to get her to talk to you and think, oh, it's good just because she's talking. Well, it's not gonna mean shit if you don't get a hangout, okay? And the longer you wait, the more likely you're gonna be put in this little gay friend zone situations. You don't want that. Now over Tinder, it's a little different, okay? You have to build more comfort first because she hasn't met you in person yet. So plus tons of guys are out there asking for the meetup right away without offering value first, okay? Like I've seen girls, even if they're mediocre, okay, their Tinders get fucking blown up. Girls that I wouldn't even have hooked up with, okay, hundreds of guys are hitting them up on Tinder. Now imagine what the 9s or 10s, it's overwhelming for them, okay? So you need to differentiate yourself quickly. Now the pictures, never do the abdomen pictures, the six-pack, unless it's like you doing something else, like you're on the beach with your dog or something and your shirt happens to be off, that's fine. Or there's somebody else took a candid picture of you when you're doing pull-ups, whatever, that's okay. But if you're just sitting there in the mirror with your abs, throw that shit out. That's really douchey. They don't like that, okay? So avoid that. Avoid the mirror selfie. You don't want to have like all your pictures of you alone. You want to have some with you having fun with friends and stuff like that to show that you have abundance in your life, okay? So a couple days of chatting before you start seeding the hangout. And one way to seed the hangout is to start offering ideas that are fun, things you were going to do, like, oh, since we both like nature, I'm gonna be going to the hot springs on this day, you should join me. Or imagine us at the beach, how much fun we would have, Like you start saying little things that are suggesting that you guys are going to hang out soon. And then you finally do go for the hangout. You ask what their schedule is like. Okay, you'd be like, oh, what's your work schedule like? Even better than that is to say, oh, I have this and this day free, let's hang out. Because if you're asking for her schedule, then you're still kind of like falling into her frame. You're still kind of saying, well, I will dance around for you. It's better to say my schedule is like this and then have her adapt to your schedule, okay? But it's okay. I've still had plenty of situations where I had to adapt to the girl's schedule at first, and that's fine. And then once she got to know me and I offered a lot of value, which is the good emotions, the fun, the carefree, the passion, then she will adapt her schedule to me, right? So, hope you learned a lot, okay? Always leave comments, ask questions. You can check out the Facebook page, which is Alpha Dynamics, okay, or the closed group Alpha Dynamics Inner Circle. Send a request to join that group. There you can leave comments. You can contact me personally. You can sign up for one-on-ones or boot camp.